So piracy is coming back. I think the reason why this is happening is the old quote from Gavin. Piracy is a service problem. The reason why piracy went down is because there were services like Netflix, for example, that acted as a market replacement for piracy, and the amount of money that you had to spend was minimal enough to where you could get the value out of it, and instead of spending the extra time and the potential risk with piracy, you could just simply access the shows easily. I think Spotify is the best example that a lot of us use now. How many of you guys had LimeWire and now you have Spotify? Spotify is an example of this happening and working in an effective way. But the problem is that with TV shows and movies, there are too many mouths to feed, and now people are going back to piracy.
The 2010s were the golden age of piracy.
Oh, yeah.
BitTorrent accounted for a third of all internet traffic.
Wow.
LimeWire had
That's
more
insane.
monthly users than Facebook, and the Pirate Bay was the only video store in town where you were sure to find what you were looking for. Hypothetically, of course. The world was slowly switching from physical to digital media. And even people who weren't particularly tech-savvy realized that digital goods could be replaced endlessly with practically zero marginal cost. At its peak, 95% of all music downloads were pirated because it had become cheaper and, above all else, an easier way to fill up large digital libraries that were being made possible by cheap digital storage. Then it just stopped. Since 2012, the internet has gotten faster, storage has gotten cheaper, and people have become more comfortable with computers, which should have just accelerated a growth trend. Since 2015, peer-to-peer file sharing has collapsed in popularity. And you might think you already know why. Streaming services like Spotify and Netflix were just a better, easier, and safer way to access content.
That's one reason.
Now, as these services have become markedly worse and simultaneously more expensive, piracy is making a comeback. First and foremost, the majority of people actually would like to acquire their media legally as long as it was easy and not ridiculously expensive.
So, and also there's risks with piracy. Like, for example, you download something and it could have a virus in it or something like that. Or obviously you could get caught, but like realistically, it's probably a virus. Like if you had a bag of M&Ms and one M&M was poison, would you want to eat a bag of M&Ms? You'd want to have another bag, even if the other bag was like way, way more expensive.
Was that these options were just so easy compared to piracy, and so cheap compared to buying songs or movies one by one that it just didn't really make sense to bother with anything else. Nowadays, that's clearly changed. There are dozens of streaming services that are each getting more and more expensive every year.
This is like we've gone full circle, and now we're all the way back to cable.